Hi, and welcome back. Today it's going to be super exciting. We've got Steve McCarthy with us here from Yuba City, California. So we're going to learn a little bit about Yuba City, and we're going to learn a lot about Steve's business. He has been crushing it, and he's going to take us behind the curtain and let us know how he's doing it. So hang tight. We're going to be right back with Steve McCarthy.
This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires
and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.
Well, here we go. I am really excited to hear Steve today and to get to know him a little bit better. We just met recently through a thing that we're doing together. No, we're not doing a thing together, but we were at the same event together with Steve and his lovely wife, Kelly. And I thought that he is a pretty interesting dude and he has a lot of value to bring today. So Steve, nice to see you. Welcome. I hear you're in Yuba City, California. First and foremost, tell us where Yuba City is.
It's okay if you haven't heard of it. You probably haven't. So Yuba City is a small town. We are north of Sacramento, California, which is our capital. Small town, mostly a farming community. So we have a lot of orchards and things like that. It's a slower paced town, and it is my home.
Yay. Well, I have actually been to Yuba City. I used to sell ranches, and in the course of doing that, we were up in your hood, and it really is a lovely, beautiful part of the country. So, tell me about your real estate journey, because I know now you got a, pretty healthy team. What, 18 agents are working with you? So it's you and your wife, Kelly. Mm-hmm. And you have 18 people working with you. And I know just from the chats that we've had that, so you and Kelly are both you're in production as well as running Correct. Your team. So that's a lot of balls to juggle. I know how tough that can be. And with your role with your team, you're more of the emotion management and putting out fires with the agents that they're having and keeping them focused and engaged. And then Kelly's role is, I believe you said that she was the boss of your family too.
Absolutely. Yep. Kelly runs everything.
As it should be. Well-trained. Very good. Yep. But she also runs the business side of the business. So tell us a little bit about that and how it came to be, and a little bit about your evolution, because I know we have some people who do have larger teams, and I would consider 18 people to be a really healthy sized team. And then some agents are thinking about going that direction and some not. So let us hear about you.
Sure. So to start with the journey, Kelly and I, before we met, we both were interested in being investors. Me from picking up that dang Robert Kiyosaki book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah, I think a lot of us. So I was in school to study my license. Kelly was in school to study her license when we met. So we met.
Real estate romance.
Right. Yeah. And Kelly was looking to get her license to see deals first as an investor, and I was doing the same. So we neither one of us really liked salespeople or sales or had a desire to sell things. We were just victims of the internet. We were going to get lots of apartments and rental houses with little to no money down. But we had very little and no money down. So we actually started selling some houses once we got together. We were married 4 months later in St. Thomas.
Ooh.
Yeah. I put her on an island.
Hear more about that later. I mean, not the St. Thomas part, but the 4 months part and all of that. But sorry, I distracted you.
No, you're perfect. Yeah, it's that is a longer story. It's a good one, but maybe we'll share it on a different one. But so we got together. We're looking for investments. We decided to sell some properties, take the commissions to help us acquire rentals, flips, and stuff. So From there, we actually found that showing families homes, the excitement in their eyes, the kids picking out the room before a contract's even inked, that was like very fulfilling to us. And we actually loved it. We didn't really need commission checks back then, which was a blessing. It was 2011, and people thought the real estate market was bad, but we just did a lot of what we loved every day, and that was helping people. So our business was growing probably when it shouldn't, but then our motives were different than a lot of people. A lot of people were struggling back then, and they were trying to feed their families. So they were in a worse position. For us, we were just learning craft to get rentals. Like we had no idea it was hard back then, and we excelled pretty quickly. Well,
let me just jump in here, because I think the fact that you got this going in 2011 is a really important note to emphasize here, because you chose to get in when it was the most challenging of times. Therefore, you really had to dig deep and learn the skill sets that were going to come into play in this new challenging period. And so many agents aren't familiar with, because for the last number of years, the basic skill set you need is speed. And now we're going to all have to get back to the basics and drill down and do everything that you guys learned, because it was a matter of survival. So you had to do it. So I think that timing is very interesting.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And we're talking about that very heavily in training right now, is that even though it might not have feel like it was easy for some of the agents that started last year, the year before, this was an easy time to sell compared to back then. Right. And now we might be heading into that exact same thing. But what I did was actually easy. So this will be helpful for those people out there that are watching right now that are like, it's hard, there's not enough opportunity. There's plenty of opportunity. What I did, and this is a superpower that I have, so I don't know if other people have this, but I'm going to tell you what it is. I copy what successful people are doing very, very well. I don't try to change it or add to it. So I got online and I found this kind of crazy guy named Jay Kinder out of Texas. And instead of getting a coach in town, the highest producing agent back then was selling around 50 homes a year. I was talking about, I want to do 500. Like my goal is bigger than that. So I need somebody I can learn from. I found Jay Kinder, and he had a process and a system laid out that if I built a foundation the right way, if I did some really boring things daily, every single day, and stayed committed to it till I got good enough to perfect those skills, then I would have a shot at that 500 homes that he sold. So I did that.
I want to highlight two things you just said here too, is something I know to be true. The most successful among us copy and paste, right? It's the strugglers who try to reinvent the wheel. So that's brilliant that you learned that so early on. And the other thing is having a coach. I mean, you got a coach back when you were first started, and you didn't just get, whoever was in the next office over. You went, to the deep end of the pool and tried to find the best person you could find to model what they were doing. So good job on both counts.
Yeah, it was simply that, just copying what somebody else to do, because I wasn't smart. There's smart people, and they can create things and do these magical, beautiful things, but that was not me. What I was good at was being told what to do and do it. And Jay Kinder was an expert at laying out what to do. Now, I could not afford Jay Kinder. I couldn't afford coaching, period. If this coaching program didn't work, I wouldn't have been able to pay my mortgage. Right. It was just that simple. But one of Jay's coaches was Albie Stasic. I'm still partners with Jay and Albie to this day, good friends with them. But they literally changed my life and a lot of people that have come through me to them over the years, because they were able to dissect what they did that worked by doing things wrong. Like they made a lot of mistakes in their journey, and then they dialed it into the simple things that could be done. Jay calls it the effective minimal dose.
The minimal effective dose. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's all we did. And some of that stuff included, going in, I would go into an office every day. This is back in the Intero days. And I sat next to Edie Miller, who was a legend around here. She was so good on the phone. And I would hear her talking to prospects while we prospected in the morning together. I sat in a different cubicle. But what I did right was, even though I was absolutely terrible at prospecting, I did it every day. I just kept doing it. My goal was to not let her dial more than me. which she still did. Her calls were fluent. Mine were terrible. But over time, I learned objections. I learned how to handle them. I learned how to figure out what the person on the other end of the phone's actual problem was, and then was able to provide a solution for it, through the training that I was getting through NAEA, which is Jay's company, as you probably know.
And so you found a mentor on the skill set that you wanted to get better at.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I could have went like prospecting, like it's a huge opportunity that is coming very quickly back to the agent where they're going to be able to get on the phone and dial expireds for sell by owners. It's not easy for sell by owner to sell a home today, but it was 3 months ago. Right. So it doesn't mean that I couldn't have chosen open houses or, YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. I mean, back then I couldn't because I barely knew how to send email, but everything works in this business. But you can't just halfway dive into it. You've got to jump all the way in and find what's uniquely yours. What's special about me that can set me apart differently, not better, not worse than other agents, and then go all into that as hard as you can and just master that area until that area has got not a drop left for you to squeeze out of it. Then you can start adding other pillars of the business or other people. Everything works. You just got to work it.
I refer to it as shiny object syndrome, SOS, shiny object syndrome, because there's so much coming at us as realtors every day. We get 100 emails about this or that, or this is going to solve your life, or social media, this or that. And it's distracting. And what I hear you said is you picked the one thing that you needed to work on, and you had both coaching and mentoring, and you just drilled down on it to the exclusion of everything else until you mastered it. Then you picked the next thing. And I think that's a key part of what you just said.
It is, but I also went through exactly what you're talking about. Prior to diving all the way into prospecting, I bought all of it. Everything that somebody called me. And my very first coaching call was with Albie Stasic. I didn't know him. I never met him in person, but he had me. He wanted to know what my numbers were. And I'll tell you what, at that, when he asked me let's talk about your numbers, I didn't even know what he meant. I had no clue. Turns out I had been buying all these lead sources and all these things that weren't working and not measuring whether or not it was working.
Right.
At the end of that 30-minute call, I made about 10 calls to cancel things and saved myself $32,000 that year, which in the big picture overly paid for my coaching. Not that the coaching I had was so valuable. Like I doubled my business every year that I was partnered with them.
Right. And that's something that I think everybody in this industry has fallen prey to at one point in time. And the not knowing your numbers piece. I mean, we could have a separate call just around that because it's so critically important and we all need to work on that. So there you were, you're on the phone, you're dialing for dollars, you've got a mentor, you're getting your scripts and dialogues together, and you're in the trenches and you're working. And so you said you were with Intero at that point in time, or who did you start with?
I started with Coldwell for a very short time. The story is very negative about my experience, not the people, but some, so I don't want to share that here, but there was a reason I moved to Intero where I got excellent support. From Edie Miller and John Miller. They were running that brokerage. I wasn't quite prepared for that. So they were telling me what to do. And back then I hadn't grown as much as I had now. And I already knew everything, which is fantastic. Back then I knew everything. Now I know nothing.
Right.
But I wasn't really ready for that. And then I went to a boutique brokerage where I thought I could be more in control, lost all the support, all the tools, all those things. But I was focused on what to me was a low cap. The only thing I was focused on back then, and keep in mind I was young, so was how much money was going out, not the opportunity of what I could make.
Right. So there you are. It's you and Kelly. And was it you and Kelly when you were at Intero together, or when did you start to build your team? Tell us about that evolution from you and Kelly to now 18 people plus you and Kelly.
Absolutely. So it was me and Kelly, and we left and we went to a boutique brokerage. Now this is about, 2.5, 3 years into my real estate career. And I'd been begging the whole entire time, my brother-in-law to get a real estate license. Like I'm telling you, this is for you. It's so you, you're going to love your life. You're going to make way more money and everything. Well, I finally convinced him to, so that was my first team member. It took him 8 months to quit his very successful government job to be over making the money. And, he was making $150,000, $200,000 a year in his first year. It was a job where he said he would I'm going to just do this on the side. I will never quit, blah, blah, blah. Kelly and I laughed. We knew it was coming. He was just too talented. It took him 8 months to move from joining our team to off of our team. And he is very, very successful today.
So he's independent today.
He's with us. I mean, he still supports the office. He works primarily with investors and stuff. And he was just here last week, I believe, training the agents. I mean, he gives back to our community a ton. Just a wonderful agent. And we are still business partners, but he is a solo agent.
So to go from the two of you and the two of you plus your brother-in-law to 18, I don't imagine that you just woke up one day and said, I'm going to hire 17 people. How, give us a quick synopsis of your philosophy about growing. I mean, do you build it and they will come, or do you wait until you're overrun with leads and need to add a body? What's your system?
Yes. So I will tell you right up front that as you build a team, your profitability is likely to go down. Right. There's a lot of obstacles. So when I envisioned a team, reading Gary Keller's book and stuff and looking at that, he had a brilliant team model in there. I don't think it works like I thought it would, but the goal was to take and get support for some of the leads that we couldn't do. Like, we were losing opportunity, right? So I want to share that with other people. It was never my goal to have 17 people on my team. I'm highly profitable when I'm running fast alone.
Right.
But at the same time, there's people that come into the industry that need the lead support. They need the one-on-one training. They need help on their listing appointments. They need those things. And there was no compensation for us. So we slowly added some of those people to our team to help them. With our goal is not like a lot of big teams where they want to grow the team to 100. There's very successful people that do this, and bless their hearts, that's an amazing undertaking, but it's not my goal. So the collection of people that just keep adding on, and then the community built around the team just made it a thing. It's not something that I want. I did not want 17 people on a team, but I love the people that are on my team. And I do want them to have a place to go, to grow, to leave my team as quickly as possible.
Interesting. And I think we might mention too that, if for people thinking about building a team, you made a really good point. You can be, as a solo agent, or you're just you and your wife, highly profitable with that model. And you look around back to the shiny objects, you see, bigger is better. But there is, as John Cheplack would say, the thing called the messy middle. And when you're in the messy middle and you're growing and your expenses go up, your profitability is probably going to go down. Your workload's going to go up, your profitability is down. And it's not till you successfully make it to the other side like you have that you're going to really reap the financial rewards. And there's a lot of people who get squished like a bug when they get in the middle without a clear path.
Absolutely. Yep. And I'm one of them, and the middle is messy, and it's hard to get through that. And not the value of the team. A lot of people think my team pays me 25%. That's a lot of money to them. At the same time, if I take that lead, I can hand that lead off to a seasoned vet for 25% and get that anywhere. So there's the misconception that as I'm building the team, I'm going to get super wealthy really, really fast. But there's a lot of growth that has to happen personally as you're growing a team. I wasn't born into a leadership position, right? It wasn't even something that I was longing to be or something. But when I needed to be able to motivate people to be the best versions of themselves, I had to learn to lead myself. So it's a never-ending focus for me, is how can I lead myself better so that I can provide more value to the team.
Inside job. So excellent point. Now, you were at a boutique brokerage, and I know that you are now with EXP. So why? I mean, you were at a boutique brokerage, you had built up your team. I hear that they had, lower you got your expenses down. I mean, what was the problem, and why did you change?
Oh, that's a really good question. And I asked that same question myself. Albie Stasic, a friend of mine, had a successful brokerage and he went to EXP, which to me was made no sense. So I pulled over for an hour and a half and talked to poor Albie about it. Because I'm like, how can you go from 100% to paying a company and living within their guidelines? But the problem that I was trying to solve is I can only grow through myself. I'm going to have all the liability with a boutique or with my own brokerage, which is my next step where I was heading when I made the move. I'm going to have all the liability, all the headache, all the systems and tools, like all that cost falls on me. Offices, printers, and like it's a massive undertaking. Where with EXP, it was a platform. Like what I didn't understand is I thought EXP was the same as KW, was the same as Coldwell, but it's not. And it wasn't to me. It was a platform for me to be able to build my business off the back of and allow me to be connected with other people that had the same vision and goals of massive growth and massive contribution. So I came for what was explained to me as revenue share, right? Like there was another stream of income, and that was exciting to me. But what I found that actually was the most important thing for me was the collaboration. I now had access to people that have already hit the obstacles I'm heading towards, and they can just simply give me the playbook on how to get through those obstacles. So my growth has really been massively accelerated because people are financially aligned with me that are incentivized to share their secrets with me. So the collaboration.
That's been something that's been really wonderfully surprising to me is how open people are. I mean, talk about a culture of sharing. It's just, I haven't run into anybody yet who, if I ask a question or say, what's your system, that I haven't received it in an email within 10 minutes. It's just mind blowing, actually.
Isn't it nuts? Yeah. And now this is the funnest thing for me to do is bring somebody from outside of EXP to one of our events. And then not the stage, like you're going to learn so much from people on the stage, but to introduce them to somebody and say, hey, this person does this. You should ask them about that problem you have. And watch them ask a complete stranger about their problem, have their mind blown with somebody that's an expert in it. It's just fabulous because they're not used to that. When you're at a big name brokerage prior to, I had to protect my leads, hide them because I was afraid the person in my own office would steal them, let alone share what their secret proprietary postcard message is, as if they created it themselves. But what we have, and especially in the Honey Badger Nation, is experts unlocking exactly what they did, how they did it, the obstacles. Like it's just roadmap after roadmap. There is more information in just the Honey Badger Nation than I could ever consume in a lifetime or would want to. I always just want to know what's the next big thing that I'm working on, who solved it, and how'd they do it. And that is available to me every single day in the Honey Badger Nation.
Well, and I think a good example is you and me, right? We met each other at a Honey Badger event. And I said, hey, and you didn't mention, I think we should, you're doing 100, year to date. We're halfway through the year. You're at 100 units. And Yuba City is not, not Dallas, right? It's not a huge metropolis. So I'm like, hey, Steve, come on here. Tell me about it. Tell me how you did it. And I'm going to follow up with you too, because, and took you about what? 10 seconds to say, sure, no problem. Whatever you need, I'm there for you. And, and I love that about us. You can't get the support and help that you receive without giving it back to somebody else to ask for it. Like no matter what you need, you pick up the phone, you call me, and I know that I can call you for support or questions. And we literally just met. I met you in Orlando. We're neighbors. You live in Reno, right? I'm in Reno, near New City. So there's more to come for sure. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your valuable time. I really appreciate what you're doing for us. Is there any sort of parting thought you'd like to leave us with? Anyone? I mean, what I heard you say about EXP is that you first heard about the rev share. I also heard you say that you're in this for your agents to better their lives. And that's something certainly that a benefit that you could bring to your agents. But what you stayed for is the culture.
100%. Yep. It's unmatched. I love it so much. I wish it could be given to everybody. So like if I talk to somebody about EXP, people have the misconception that I'm trying to get something out of it. I'm like actually trying to help somebody in a better situation, right? Like it's something I never was at Coldwell and was like, hey, you've got to come to Coldwell because the environment is so good that you're going to flourish. You know, it's not about me. Like I'm doing fine now. I've created a life that I don't even deserve. It's a blessing from God.
Yes, you do.
Now, when I get to help somebody else, it means more to me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for helping us. And I know there's someone you've helped me today, and I'm sure there'll be many, many other people that you've helped through this time you shared with us. And, you know, let's do it again sometime.
I would love to, man. And I hope anybody that has further questions reaches out to you and gets some of the openness that you share and stuff and can learn from your mistakes. So reach out to this young lady and hit her up and ask her every question you got.
And I'll be glad to, you know, put you in touch with Steve too, if you need to chat with him. Okay. So everybody go out and make it a great day. Thanks.
Awesome.
Bye.